You're making one right decision today. You're listening to Handcuffs and Sage.
Three badass moms bringing you all the true crime and paranormal your heart desires.
I'm Red.
I'm Timo.
I'm Dre. And don't let your kids listen. Seriously, just don't.
Hey, it's Handcuffs and Sage!
Woo!
This is Red.
Hey, this is Timo.
And this is Dre.
Oh my goodness, what a fun-filled, crazy week this has been. I was just telling the ladies, and for everyone listening that has a million sisters like I do, we have a lot of personalities. We have a lot going on, and I was kind of getting into it with my little sister all day today, and I feel like I'm ready to box someone. Dun, 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 dun.
Do it.
Do it. I'm going to ride my bike to her house. And bitch slap her.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. So how was your week this week?
Well, besides fucking melting this past weekend.
Was it hot? Was it hot this weekend?
What are you talking about?
What, like
nobody's going to get heat exhaustion.
Yeah, it was only like 118. It wasn't that bad.
Okay, so why are we even bringing this up, Timo? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Did
think
you see
anything.
people like
What?
trying to bake brownies outside?
I saw a news lady trying to bake cookies on the hood of their news van. Yeah.
What is going on?
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay. Let's talk about your week because it's crazy.
Yeah. Where do I begin? Wow. Well, I have a new puppy, right? That just makes things worse. But we'll focus on the oldest one.
Before you get into your crazy week, I want to give a shout out to Dre. She has lost 19 pounds. Oh
yes, I have. Like you can't tell. Not yet.
Yeah, I can tell. Right here, girl.
Yeah, I have like more chiseled chin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
It's been whoa. So I get into work on what is it today? Because Monday we were off. Yesterday was Labor Day, and I was like, for sure I gained weight. I don't even want to step on the scale, but I was like, you know what? I just pooped. Let me step on the scale.
I'm good.
Geez.
I went to the bathroom. It's fine.
This is what we do because we got to know the real figure, right? So I always like it's a thing that we do at work too. You leave the bathroom and you go straight for the scale.
Nice.
I mean, it's a thing.
It's a nurse thing. We wouldn't understand.
So I actually am super proud of myself because I reached one of my mini goals, and 19 pounds is no small feat. So it's been rough.
Yay.
I really thought it was going to be. Yeah, I did not think the scale was going to go down. And when it did, I was just like screaming and everybody was like, what the fuck's happening?
Yes, girl. That's such a good feeling. I love it.
Yes, seriously.
Yes.
I needed that. I need that after my little scare. So my oldest got a little bit of a COVID scare and we had to get him tested. It was negative, but still he's having symptoms. So we'll probably recheck him. Still really scary, and he's definitely not feeling good. I actually messaged his teachers and they're so sweet because they were like, oh, please don't worry about it, he's such a pleasure to have in class.
Aww.
And we love him and tell him we miss him. And I was like, that's funny.
You said no my son. I was asking about my son.
Yeah.
I used to do that with my daughter all the time when people are like, oh, she's great, so help. I'm like, whoa, I was talking about my kid. Okay.
And I'm like, I know we have different last names, but you sure you're talking about my Ricky?
Can you check that again? Okay. All right. If you say so, cool. That's cool.
Okay,
Ricky is so sweet. He's such a good kid.
Yeah.
Dre, we're not going to talk about it, but did you get my one-on-one text I sent you today about what you are to me now? Don't say it. Don't say it.
No, I didn't.
A side hoe?
Yeah.
You my side hoe?
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Man.
You didn't respond to it, so I'm thinking, did she not get it, or
did you send it to the right Dre?
I don't know any other. I don't know any other Dre's. But
she has three
the
Dre's in
the
her
one
phone.
and only.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't respond because I didn't receive it. Resend
So
it to me.
weird. I sent you like 3 different things in a row, but that's all right.
I'm
Okay.
dying to know. Oh,
Now I want to
no.
see, but I'm on my phone, so I can't check it. Did you see that? Oh, that was your. Woo!
No, that was me.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that's so
I'm
weird.
watching.
My son just
Yep.
peekabooed in the room.
Right, which is like my door's in the same position that your door's in. So
Uh-huh.
I thought it was my son for a split second. I'm like, get out of here with no mask on.
Oh no.
Don't come
Yeah.
near me.
Get your dang quarantine face out of here.
You
I
just
love
say
him.
6 feet. 6 feet.
Yeah. Mhm.
We should also talk about Timo's hair.
Mhm.
Okay.
So Timo is mixing it up over here. It's looking good. I like it.
Okay, so
Love it.
I'm besides Dre, I'm the other brunette in the group. Now,
Mhm.
I always have I'm always doing something to my hair. So this is the longest that my hair's been just brunette, like boring, like burgundy, brown, whatever. So I got it cut on Saturday. And then I had Miss Amy come over tonight and she put bleach all over from roots to ends. And the roots came out blonde and the ends came out bright ass red. So this is
I
step
love
1.
red.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Mhm.
cool. This is not, there's going to be a 3-step process. So this is step 1.
Yeah.
And I'm not
super
telling
excited.
the girls what I'm doing. So, yeah,
It's a surprise. So
it's a
message
surprise.
us with your guesses as to what color Timo is dyeing her
Yes,
hair.
it's
Ooh.
definitely a
We-
color. Yes, it's definitely a color.
The first clue, it's going to be a color.
And I
She's
said
not
it's
letting us
totally,
guess.
yeah, and I said it's totally inappropriate for my age. But
Mm.
a couple weeks ago, I posted a little meme on Facebook that said, life's too short to have boring hair. So there you go, motherfuckers. That's how it's going to
Yes.
go. Yeah.
I would like to put my guess in as green, so write that down.
Okay.
Red's guess is green.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go with blue.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right, now just tell us.
She's not gonna answer yes or no.
No,
'cause,
she's
you
not.
know.
No,
Mm-mm.
it'll drive her nuts.
Yeah. Nope.
All right.
I'm not spilling the beans.
That's all right. All right, so are we ready to do part 2
Yes.
of the Gainesville Ripper?
We've been
Yes,
waiting
I've been
and
waiting and
Yeah.
waiting.
Yep.
The first time we're in unison, we didn't even plan it.
Oh, first time, you guys. We're doing it. We're
Yeah.
professional. That's right.
We are the things.
the
The
things. So for my true crime story that I've been covering, there's a part 1 on the last episode. If you haven't heard part 1, go back, listen to it, laugh, and then review on iTunes. And then come back and listen to part 2. So I have been talking about the Gainesville Ripper, and it's just a deep dive that I really enjoyed doing. I had heard of this killer, of course, but learning everything that happened, I just find fascinating. Just bonkers. Okay.
Mhm.
So where we left off, wait, I need to have some white wine spritzer. 1 second. Hashtag not sponsored. Okay.
White wine spritzer. What the heck?
So what I do is I put a little bit of white wine, right? Because I'm on this diet. So the only time I booze it is when I'm with my main host. And so I put a little bit of white wine with mango seltzer soda in it. So I feel like I'm being, yep. And it's so tasty. I love mango. I love everything mango.
Yeah, white wine's really sugary, so that's good that you're kind of like watering it.
It's just a
watering it
little
down.
bit.
Yeah. You get a buzz?
No, but I feel like I'm like having something because my
you're
day is so
fancy.
strict.
Okay.
Thank you. That's what I wanted you to say. I'm
White wine
fancy.
spritzer.
Spritzer. I'm
Yeah.
a basic bitch.
I'm still not drinking, y'all. I quit it, but
Yay. But
we have
this is usually
Bucko.
the moment that you hold up a drink and say, I'm not drinking.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, it's actually, iced tea, whatever. But just side note, sorry. We had Bunko at Red's house last weekend, and
80s. It was
yeah,
80s
that was
theme.
so much fun.
Everyone
And
dressed
then
up. It was fantastic.
one of the girls had like her like solo cup or whatever, and then she had something in it. I'm like, what do you got in there, girl? And she's like, I have a mango white claw with a little bit of michelada mix and some chamoy. And I'm like,
Ooh.
Yeah, girl.
I'm out.
Whoa.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
she's like, but it's better with watermelon white claw. So I was talking to her, and she, I said, what's that recipe again? So they only had black cherry white claw when I went grocery shopping today, and I don't think that would be like really tasty. So I ended up getting the white Trulies, which I think is mango, watermelon, lime, and then black cherry, but
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try that this weekend.
Yes, that
Not
does
during the
sound
week.
really good.
Yeah.
No, but that
It
sounds
does.
yummy,
Hmm.
like refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
You know, they
now I
make
want
these
that.
things, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but they're like, I guess they're like dippers, or I don't even
Oh
know right now.
yes.
But they're like chamoy and tahini, and they have flavors infused in them too. And like you basically like put it on the top, on the rim of your, my
Yeah.
mouth is watering, the
Yeah.
rim of your beer. You could put it on White
Yes.
Claws. They make them with like mango and watermelon, like all the flavors.
Where
Yeah.
do you get those?
Or on the outside of a
So
straw.
yeah. So far, I've only seen them like through Instagram, like people like make
What?
them from home.
Or
Yeah.
Amazon.
Oh,
Find them on
oh,
Yeah.
Amazon.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I
that's
want
the
that.
chamoy. You could just like
It's
drip
like,
the chamoy around the edge and just like kind of like let it drip. I
Mhm.
can't wait.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I want that. That's all right.
same.
Everything's
Make
fine.
it
I'll
sugar
just
free.
have my spritzer.
I'm drinking water today, so.
Oh, good girl. Good
Mhm.
job. I love it. Okay, so we're talking about Danny rolling, and this guy is the Gainesville Ripper, but really he's a McFuckface. All right, we have another one. This guy is something else. And so where we left off was in August, and he had made his way to Gainesville, Florida, right, to the University of Florida. And at this time, all the college students were moving into their dorms. So my daughter just went through this. So when I was reading this story, it really just put me on edge that some creeper could be watching the kids move in and doing all that, right? So he's at the University of Florida. He's watching the college students move in. And he said that while he was watching them, he was like angry. He was filled with rage. And he heard this demonic voice that he calls Gemini. And this voice, Gemini, told him what to do, and he wanted more blood, which is, you know, like tingles up your spine.
Yeah.
Creepers. Okay, so August 24th, 1990, this motherfucker steals a bike. How rude is that? And he's riding through town. He's all in black, and he has a bag with him, and it's a kill kit, right? We've heard of kill kits. These are something that serial killers have a lot, like in their car, right, ready to go. Duct tape, rope, right, knife, things like this. So he has a kill kit with him. So he's riding through town. He's all in black. He's got his kill kit. And he notices the Williamsburg apartment building. He puts on his gloves. He puts his mask on. And he goes to apartment 113. He takes a screwdriver and he puts it in the door and then uses the knife to get the door open. So this is just terrifying, right? He gets into apartment 113 and the room is dark. 17-year-old Christina Powell is asleep on the couch. This makes my skin crawl that this sweet girl is just asleep in her apartment in the dark, and this creepalicious motherfucker just walks in, okay? It's terrifying to me.
Mm.
So Danny actually moves past her and goes up the staircase, where he finds Sonia Larson sleeping in her bed. Gemini told him to rape her. Not his decision, it was Gemini's decision, right? So he ties her up with duct tape. He stabs Sonia. He watches her die. And then he goes downstairs.
Oh my God.
So sweet girl Christina is still asleep on the couch. She has no idea what just happened upstairs. Danny wakes her up. He tells her he's not going to hurt her if she does what he wants. Okay. He rapes her and then he stabs her to death, which is just awful. So he takes everything, he disposes of any evidence. It takes about 2 days of the parents not able to reach their kids that, you know, had just moved in, and they called the police to go check on their kids. So it's really frightening. So doing this story, having my daughter just go to college for the first time, I'm like, if she doesn't text me right away, I like freak the fuck out. I lose my shit. So, because your mind goes to these dark places, right? So Krista Hoyt was never late for work. She worked at the sheriff's office. On August 27th, 1990, the authorities were alerted because she didn't show up for work. They went to her apartment. Nobody came to the door. They forced themselves in. They noticed that the back door had been pried open. They found Krista Hoyt on the edge of her bed. Her body was slumped over. Her back had been stabbed multiple times. Her stomach cut open. Her breasts were cut up.
That's vicious. Oof.
Her head was removed and put on a bookshelf to look at her body.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
So we're all just going to take a moment.
Wow.
On August 26th, the day before, the police found the bodies of the two girls, Christina and Sonia, in their apartment, posed, and Christina's nipples had been cut off.
What the hell?
So it was about 9 hours after the police finding the girls' bodies in their apartment that they found Krista Hoyt's body. Rod Smith was the state attorney, and he talks about this case, and he said that everything that was done was like Danny was making a production out of it. He wanted people to see what he was doing. He wanted to be in control of these girls. He wanted to pose their bodies and humiliate them. He's a total piece of shit. So we have 3 murders in just days of each other. So when you see this, right, there's less time between murders. It's like a spree, right? He's like going on a killing spree, which is terrifying. So they're saying, we think these are connected. This person is posing and making this a production. We have a problem here, right? We need to handle this. This is not good. So rumors are swirling around on campus that there's a serial killer, right? People are talking.
Right.
While this is happening, Danny goes and robs a bank the same day that Krista's body is found. So they're saying at this time with Danny robbing banks, you know, killing these people, it's called a homicidal crime spree. So that's what he's doing. So the day after Krista Hoyt's body is found, 2 more bodies are found. 2 more fucking bodies are found.
Damn.
23-year-old Tracy Paulus and Manuel or Manny Tapawada. They were both students and they were friends. They were both stabbed to death. Tracy's body was posed in the middle of the hallway. Manny was killed in his bed and he was not posed. So they can see that nobody is safe, right? He's willing to kill men too, right? That he's interested in the women, posing them, right? And doing whatever he wants with them, right? So now we have 5 murders in 3 days. This is crazy. So over 700 students from the university go home because this is happening.
Wow.
They did not return. They didn't come back. 700.
Yeah, I'd be right there with them. No way. That's scary.
Yeah, peace out. Okay, so all of a sudden we've got media coming in. This is national news. People are talking about the Gainesville Ripper. There's a lot of rumors going around. People are saying it was a cop, it was a doctor, it was a pizza delivery man, right? People are losing their shit. They don't know who's doing this, and they start buying guns aplenty. Everyone's buying a freaking gun. Everyone is scared, and they should be, right? He just does whatever he wants. So they're finding patterns here with him. So they know that the victims are being attacked with the same knife, the K-bar hunting knife. It's 7 inches long, and they're also finding a connection in that an adhesive residue, right, is found on the bodies because he's using duct tape to tie them up or bind them, I should say. But then he removes the duct tape, so it leaves that adhesive, that stickiness, right?
Yeah.
So this tells them that maybe he has some familiarity with law enforcement because he's taking the time to clean up, right, to cover his tracks, get rid of evidence. That's a really cute bow in your hair, Tina. Oh my God.
I know.
I'm like talking about gruesome murders, and she's like, and now I have a bow in my hair.
I gotta put my hair back because my ceiling fan is blowing my little wispies all over my face. So, yeah.
That's okay. That's fine.
All right.
Okay, so back to Rod Smith. He's the state attorney. He talks about Krista's body and how it was set to just terrify, anyone who found the body and then saw the body, right? So Danny had moved a bookcase, took a bookcase and moved it across the room just to put her head on it to look at her body. It was totally staged, right? How terrifying that must have been for them to see. So there was a theory, Rod had a theory that the Ripper was doing all of this because he wanted to be famous. He wanted people to know who he was. A year earlier, Ted Bundy had been executed, right? And I don't know if you guys have, looked into Ted Bundy. Of course, I have. But when Ted Bundy was executed, a shit ton of people came out and had signs, right? And it was all over the news. People were buying T-shirts, right? It was like a whole thing.
Yeah,
so
he had like a whole fan club.
It was crazy. So they're thinking that the Ripper wants to be famous like Ted Bundy after everything that happened with Ted Bundy. Also, there were some similarities with Ted Bundy, right? Ted Bundy also attacked and killed college students. He beat them, sexually assaulted them, and then stabbed his victims. So there's similarities there, okay? So the police are obviously concerned about more victims at this point. So the police task force is put together. They're working all the scenes. They had 18,000 pieces of evidence.
Damn.
18 freaking thousand. Think of how many plastic bags that they had to use to put each piece, right? Crazy. So
that's a lot of bags.
That's a lot of work. You know how much work they put into their job. So it's very clear to them that the same man is responsible for everything, and they did find DNA. Okay. But their suspect list was long as freaking hell. And they had to interview each and every suspect. So this was very time consuming. So they had a suspect. He was 18 years old. His name was Edward Humphrey, and he was actually a student at the university. And he lived in the same apartment complex as Tracy and Manny, the two friends. He had a reputation for odd, violent behavior. He wore combat clothes. He had a knife on him a lot. He had been arrested on unrelated assault charges at the same time they were looking at him as a suspect, and his bail was set at $1 million. So they were thinking that this was looking like their guy. But, you know, I have odd behavior and I wear combat clothes. And nobody, I'm just kidding. I don't. All right. So they're looking at Edward Humphrey for this. So they searched the apartment to like tie all these things together. DNA was not a match to Edward Humphrey's. So, okay, now they know it's not this guy, Edward, but they actually decide to keep that a secret. They don't want people to know, like, we don't, just kidding, we don't have him, right? They want people to think they got the guy. Okay, so McFuckface Danny is camped out in the woods. This piece of shit is just having the time of his motherfucking life. He's in the woods, he's playing guitar, he's singing church songs, you know, to be close to God, of course.
Oh my gosh.
And this narcissist has a handheld tape recorder, you know, to put his thoughts on tape, because everyone's going to want to listen to that shit at some point, I'm sure. So he's just all about Danny in the woods. I bet he did s'mores. I have a feeling he did s'mores all by himself, which is so rude.
And he sang Kumbaya too.
Oh yeah, it was a party in the woods for Danny. So a week later, Danny's approached by police because he was talking to another drifter from that town, and Danny runs like hell into the woods away from the cops. He's like, peace, and starts running. He got away, but he was such a dumbass and ran right through where he had been camping in the woods. So the police found all of his belongings.
Oh,
that he
come
left
on now.
There. Okay.
And his DNA.
They just found it all, Dre. They just found it all. They found a bag of money with pink dye on it, because we know Danny loves to rob motherfucking banks.
Yeah.
And so a bag of money with pink dye, which I kind of love. I always thought dye was blue, but I guess they do pink too, and that's fun. So they found that. But this just hurts my heart. They just thought he was the robber that had been robbing banks. They didn't know he was the Ripper. It's okay.
I know.
It's all right. It's all right.
Slipping through the cracks.
That's right. All right. Buckle up, bitches. Here we go.
Okay.
So Danny breaks into a house. He steals whatever he can, you know, real quick. He steals the car, and he goes to Tampa. He stops on it, you know, a few times. Of course, he needs to rob some places. He needs money. So that's what he's doing on the way to Tampa. But even though he's robbing places, he's not getting a lot of money from it. So he has to then hold up a convenience store. After he holds up the convenience store, he then sees that, oh, I think that's a cop car, and he runs into the woods. Okay, so now he doesn't have a car. So September 8th, 1990, he holds up a Winn-Dixie in Ocala. I love to say Winn-Dixie. Isn't that fun? Oh, that's so fun. So after he robs this Winn-Dixie in Ocala, the store is just crazy packed at the moment that he decides to hold it up. And because the store is packed and it's a little hectic at the time he's holding it up, an employee calls the police. All right, good job, employee. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
So the police were able to catch up with Danny. Okay. He tries to take a car. He tries to get away in a stolen car. It ends up being a high-speed chase. The police are after him. It's this crazy thing. He jumps out of the car from this high-speed chase and tries to book it, okay? He tries to run. He doesn't get away. Woo! And he is arrested, but he is charged with burglaries and robberies. Okay,
Oh,
they
geez.
are not
Okay. Okay.
looking at him for those murders. Hold on to your butts. 1 year later, he is
Yikes.
convicted for the robberies, and he's sentenced to multiple life terms. Again, no idea he's the Ripper. Okay.
Damn.
So investigators find out about the murders back in Grissom, the Grissom family. Remember, we talked about the Grissom family murders. Investigators found out about that family and decided they were very similar to each other. There was things that looked like maybe the same person had done it. So the Shreveport police told the investigators in Florida that they had suspected Danny of doing the family murder. You know, he was also very fond of robberies. He had been traced to locations where Danny had been. So there's really starting like really piece. Okay, he robbed here, but then he was here, and then this murder happened the same time he was in this location. So they really start piecing that together. And then Manny's blood is found on the pants that Danny had in his campsite.
Oh,
way
shit.
back
Ooh,
when.
hoo, hoo.
I love that DNA. So then evidence was linked to Krista Hoyt inside of Danny's sleeping bag. Okay, so then they find a screwdriver with his things in this campsite that matched the markings on the door of the apartment. So they're really doing their due diligence and putting all the evidence together. Fantastic. So they wanted a DNA sample, of course, from Danny. So the police go in to the prison. They're like, hey, Danny, what's up, bro? Give me your DNA, okay? This piece of shit, he's so gross. They said he bent down and he ripped out 2 handfuls of his own pubic hair and said, here you go.
Oh, no.
Yep.
2 handfuls. One's not enough.
You know what?
Gross.
If you got 2 handfuls, take care of yourself.
Please.
Okay? I know you're in prison, but take a moment. Okay? You bushy ass motherfucker. So, of course, thank God, the DNA matches. Woo! All right. Yeah, DNA. Yeah. So Danny confesses, but he blames the demon Gemini for telling him to do all that shit, right? He didn't want to do it. Gemini told him to do it. But here we go. Fun fact, y'all. And Timo probably knows this, but I'm going to lay it on everybody right now. In Exorcist 3, the killer went by the name Gemini.
Oh.
You know that, Timo?
No, I don't remember that.
Yes. So then Danny wrote out a confession and gave it to an inmate, which I don't know why he would do that. And in this confession, it said he decided to be a killer the first time he was in prison. So a long time ago, he had made that decision to kill people. They said he had borderline personality disorder. And then, you know, before the trial, they were just talking about how crazy and out of his mind he was, that he was impulsive, and he had intense, inappropriate anger. So this is probably true, right? He probably has all these things. You're guilty still. You still made the choices. You still did it. He was sentenced to be executed. Holla! Woo! Woo! And he was put on death row. Wrote a book with Sandra London, The Making of a Serial Killer. So they worked together to write this book. So y'all can check it out from Danny, I guess. I hope no money goes to Danny. Like to
Right?
oh yeah. That bothers me. Oh shit. Anyway, so Danny and Sandra London, who actually is like a true crime writer, they wrote this book together, The Making of a Serial Killer. He confessed then to raping Janet. So nobody ever figured that out. He later confessed to raping Janet. Janet, of course, our true crime badass who told Danny it was time to go. Right. Remember, she was in control. I love Janet. I want to have a shirt with Janet's quote on it, right? He thought he was in control, but I was in control. Ooh, gives me goosebumps. So Janet said she actually read the book and suspected it was Danny that had raped her. And so they ended up doing DNA and it was a match. So he was the one. So she suspected it and she was right. Janet, you badass. God
right?
Damn. I love Janet.
Wow.
She is a badass.
She really is. She really is. So then hours before the execution, he confesses to Julie and her family's murders. He sent a note to a minister just to like let him know, hey, by the way, I also killed these other peeps, let everyone know. So that's what he did. So he was killed October 2006. Woo!
Wow.
Thank goodness. Sometimes it works.
What was it? Like the gas chamber or what? Because he was in Florida, right?
No, it doesn't say how they killed him, but he did.
Okay, cool.
He did. Okay. So in 1994, Kevin Williams was a screenwriter. Okay. And he watched a show on TV about Danny. And he just thought it was fucking fascinating, right? He just thought this story was wackadoodle, as Timo would say. And so then he writes a movie. And in 1996, the movie Scream comes out.
No. For real?
Yep.
That's crazy.
It is. So Scream is based on Danny Rolling, the Gainesville Ripper. And look at how diligent I am, Timo. I did write it down. This McFuckface died by lethal injection.
Oh, I was
Oh, all right. So my friends, I know that was deep and dark, but that is the story of the Gainesville Ripper.
Wow.
I'm still kind of confused about the whole Scream movie thing.
The Scream
it was
writer
loosely based on the story, right?
Oh yeah, very loosely.
Yeah, it was like
but he
comedy.
got a lot of the ideas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back
one.
and watch that movie again because okay.
So the idea that Kevin got, the screenwriter got, was to go into people's houses, terrify college student age kids, fuck with their heads, wear the mask, fuck with them. All right. So
okay,
he made it his own, but he was, I guess inspired by Danny the Gainesville Ripper. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
There it is.
All right. Yay.
Yay.
That was awesome. Awesome.
Yay.
Yeah.
I slurred all the words. I said a lot. Guess what? I'm still a professional.
You are.
Great.
You are. I was just thinking back to the Scream thing.
Timo can't let it go.
I know. Isn't that the one with Drew Barrymore and she's on the phone? He's like, ugh. He's like all talking to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I can't.
You know what I'm going to do? You know what
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do, Timo? I'm going to email the screenwriter, Kevin Williams, and I'm going to say, Timo says this doesn't make sense and you're a filthy liar. So
Yeah.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know how you feel.
Maybe I'll do some research on that dude and see if he has like maybe a little bit of an explanation I don't know. I think of other scary movies that could have been like, part whatever, but all right. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. It's just what he said. So we can't take his word for it.
Right.
The screenwriter said that's what inspired him, but whatever.
All right. Are you ready? Are you ready for some
Woohoo.
paranormal?
Buckle
Yeah.
up.
It's like
Mhm.
almost midnight, so let's yeah.
Almost.
Is it?
No, it's 11:20. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
it's
like,
Y'all, I
She always-
said, oh, my hubby was waiting up for special mommy daddy time.
oh,
Okay.
oh.
All right. Well, can we turn
you'll
up the
have
go
time.
shit real fast? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna.
I have
take you-
needs too.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Oh, God. Okay. So I'm going to take you to the quaint little coastal village on Long Island called Amityville.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Woo!
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this one.
Amityville. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So let's do a little bit of history about Amityville. It's on the south shore of Long Island. It's just a little quaint, ordinary American town. It was established in 1894. Amityville, or Amity, is Latin for friend. But unfortunately,
Friendville?
I know it is.
Friendville.
Not anymore.
That's
I
where we should
know.
live. With our friends.
But unfortunately, this town is also linked to murder and a haunting. So I'm stepping on your toes a little bit, Red. I'm gonna kind of talk some little bit of true crime, but when you
that's not okay. I'm gonna email screenwriter Kevin Williams
okay
and tell him what you did.
All right, that's cool. This true crime story though is there's a lot of spooky stuff involved with it, so I think it's okay that I kind of like took the reins on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'll allow it.
all right. So the town is rich in history. Will Rogers lived there at one time.
Oh, that's
Annie Oakley lived there at one time.
Oh, how fun.
And then I guess George Washington back in the day went on like a little tour of Long Island, and he stayed there and he loved it. So he wrote about it in his journal. And for 30 years, the Amityville home, which is what the whole story was based on, has been the most widely known landmark than any other landmark in United States. And of course, it's that big spooky looking mansion that is on Ocean Avenue in Long Island, Amityville. So so I'm going to take you way back. Earliest settlers, they were called the Montaukett Indians. They settled on the land there, and there's a legend that they believed there was a power spot in that area, so kind of like a portal. And that's where demons were able to come in and out through this portal.
Why does it seem so much creepier when Indians are like, no, don't? Like,
yeah. Oh,
be careful. Okay.
Yeah.
So when they believed that some of their tribes people were possessed by these demons, what they did was, and their enemies too, they killed them and then they buried them face down in their graves so that they can stare into the blackness for eternity.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, that gives me the creeps thinking about it.
Yeah.
Y'all, don't bury me face down. Like, seriously.
I feel like, don't we know somebody that was buried face down? Like,
we know someone.
No, not personally, but like you know, like I'm sure like one of Timo's stories had something to do with somebody was buried face down for sure.
There is a story. I can't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't think I did it, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But I want you to keep that face down in the back of your mind.
I don't
because
wanna.
it's going to come into play later on in my story. Okay.
All right.
So another part of the story, so Jay Anson, he's the one that actually wrote the book, The Amityville Horror, and he documented the legend about, this basically is a legend that goes all the way back to the Salem witch trials in the late 1600s. And it's a story about John Ketchum. Now, John Ketchum was forced out of Massachusetts for practicing witchcraft. So when he left Massachusetts, he
take a shot.
wandered on to the land on or near Ocean Avenue where the home is built. And he continued on with his witchcraft. And this was until the day he died. And then they say he's actually probably buried on that land. So not only are the Montauk Indians that were possessed by demons might be buried on that land, but also John Ketchum might be buried on that land.
And there's also a portal, a dark hole.
Yes. So there's a lot of shit going on.
So many layers.
Yeah, right.
So many layers. Ugh.
Now, early deeds suggested that a John Ketchum did exist, but there's no evidence that states that he was even in Massachusetts, that he was tried for witchcraft. None of that is proof, but that's what the legend is.
Okay.
So the house on Ocean Avenue, it was built in 1924. It was built for John Monaghan and his family. Now, the weird thing is the house that was built there is now actually a few blocks away from Ocean Avenue. And the reason why is there was some crazy shit happening and they were like, fuck this. So they picked up the house and they moved it away. And
what?
Yeah.
Crazy shit was happening, so they moved the crazy house?
Yes, they moved the house.
Yeah.
But the city's claiming that never happened. They're saying that they moved the house because the Moynahans wanted a bigger lot to build a bigger house. So that's how Amityville is stating it. Now, in the past, there was crazy shit that happened in this area. You know, like it's right on like the coast. There's like a little, boating area. There were drownings, yet there's no proof of drownings. And then the big thing was when the DeFeos moved into the home. Yes. So this was the summer of 1965, and it was sold to the very close-knit Catholic Italian family, the DeFeos. Now, one creepy little thing is there was a sign that was hanging outside the house that said High Hopes, and that was one of the things that the mom loved because they were like, they moved from this little teeny tiny apartment in New York, in Brooklyn, I believe they lived. Now they were like moving into this huge, beautiful mansion, and they had high hopes.
She was so excited.
I know.
So cute. High hopes.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
I know. So the DeFeo family, there's Ronald Sr., Louisa's the mom, and then there were 5 children: John Matthew, Mark, Allison, Don, and of course, Ronald Jr., who they called Ronnie, or his other nickname was Butch. Butch was something that you could get away in the 60s and 70s, I guess, but I don't think that you can get that.
I don't think I hear moms calling their kids Butch like
Butch,
fun lately.
no.
I don't hear that on the playground, no.
So I'm going to focus mostly now on Ronnie. Ronnie had a really good relationship with his mom. He was, firstborn son. They had a really good relationship, but he had a really bad relationship with his dad. It was really a love-hate relationship. Yeah. And Ronald Sr. basically showed his affection by spoiling the kids and buying them things. So he was very materialistic.
Awful.
Yes.
Oh my God. What a nightmare.
Yeah. He really thought that money would make life better. And sometimes it actually does, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
this time it didn't.
Sometimes yes, sometimes
Not this
no.
time.
Yeah. So from day one, Ronnie always felt like he was not alone when he was in the house, and not meaning when he was there with his family, but he always felt like there was something close to him, something was watching him. And then I watched, this is a documentary that I saw on YouTube, and they kept on going back and forth. They actually had a 1979 interview with Ronald DeFeo, and he's in prison, so we'll eventually get to that point. But this is what he said, quote unquote, when I first moved in, you start hearing noises, different things at night. Someone walking around, pipes banging. Once in a while, you hear screaming, but no one was screaming. So he's kind of like describing the house and the paranormal stuff that was going on.
Terrifying to hear screaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, normal stuff.
Normal shit when you move into a house.
Yeah. I mean, it's a humongous house, so I can see how the pipes are banging and creaking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So by 1973, the violence in the house really started to get crazy between the dad and Ronnie.
Aww.
And it was this chaos. This family, if you can imagine, just like a real strong, dominant Italian family, always fighting each other. Him and his dad would come to blows. It was the bananas. So Louisa's down in the basement. She's doing laundry, and the kids upstairs are screaming. She's downstairs screaming back at them. They're screaming back down. And then Ronald Sr.'s pissed off because he just wants to sit there and eat his dinner in peace. And here comes Louisa up the stairs from the basement, holding a big, huge basket full of laundry. Ronald Sr. gets up. As soon as she walks in, he punches her in the face. She falls backward down the stairs back into the basement, slams the door and says, "Now I can eat in peace." So this is the kind of life that they lived. This was like normal.
Damn.
Yeah. So you can see what kind of guy the dad was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in dating him anytime soon.
No.
No.
So Ronnie needed an escape. Ronnie's just like, this is fucking nightmare. So
right. It's chaos.
Yeah. So he took to the South Shore bar scene. So this is like early 1970s. There was a huge drug culture going on.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of people that got to be in clubs in the 70s and just doing all the drugs and looking so fly and all the gear. Ooh, I really missed out.
This is in the 70s, and Ronnie's dad would like basically just give him like $1,000, like, get out of my fucking face. So he had the money.
I'm super jealous.
He had the money just to spend on the drugs, man. So he was doing heroin, speed, LSD, and they say he started doing drugs like real young age. So that was his way to like escape from this like drama that he was,
God,
so sad.
Yeah.
So one night he came home, and Dawn, which is this oldest sister, and the dad, they were having a really huge fight. And Ronnie was probably high on drugs. He's probably drunk. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. So he goes to get his shotgun.
What?
And it was the dad shotgun, which they had probably laying around the house, and he knew it was loaded. So he basically pointed the gun at his dad, and he pulled the trigger. And for some bizarre, crazy reason, it did not go off. There was a bullet in the chamber. It was ready to go off, and it did not go off. So Ronald Sr. then was basically like, okay. He kind of calmed down. Yeah, he kind of like calmed down. Now, another weird, freaky thing about the dad, Ronald Sr., is he put mass Virgin Marys and statues of all kinds of things all around the property. Now, they were Catholic, but like he overdid it. Like they were all over the place.
He went next level. Yeah, he wanted all the statues all over the house.
And so when all this like crazy drama, violence was going on, they decided to seek counseling from the church. So basically at this point they decide to blame it on the devil. Of course, the devil is in the home and the devil's making him do it, and the devil's causing all the arguments and all this other stuff.
Absolutely has nothing to do with their communication skills at all. It's the devil.
Nope. But then all this crazy shit started happening in the house, they were hearing stuff and stuff was going on. So sadly, 6 months before the murders, Ronald Sr. went to St. Joseph's Shrine to basically, he wanted an exorcist on his home. So a priest did go back. They did do an exorcism. Now, this is not on a person. This was on the actual house. And the table.
I didn't know they could do an exorcism on a house.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. So
I can't do it.
The tables were shaking, candles fell over, the doors started opening and slamming shut. It was like, crazy bananas. But still to this day, the church claims that this incident did not happen. So, whatever. And then
whatever, church.
People in the neighborhood would be like, "Hey, Ron,
deny."
Yeah, like, hey, Ron, what's up with the statues? Like, what's going on over there?" And he basically would say, "I have a devil on my back." So we don't know what he meant. We don't know if he actually meant the actual devil, or
I think he meant he was chasing the dragon.
Yeah,
he mixed that up.
Yeah,
that's not what he meant.
Or they say he might have been referring to Ronald Jr., that he was the devil.
Okay,
that makes sense too. Yeah,
sure. I guess that makes sense too.
All right, so Ronnie moved out many times. He's like, "Peace out, I'm fucking out of here." He'd leave, and then the dad would go and use all his resources and all his money and whatever and bring him back. And so basically it was like keeping him like prisoner in the house. So, that has to like start stirring up some shit, in Ronnie with that stuff on top of it.
Yes.
So by November 1974, the trouble finally reaches the breaking point. Ronnie and his dad got into a bad fight. It almost basically turned into a fist fight. Ronald Sr. called Jr. the devil, and Ronnie said, "Fuck this." He stormed out and he said, "If I don't get out of here, I'm gonna kill all of you." Which is a scary premonition of what actually happened.
Right.
So on November 13th, 1974, while the family slept, 23-year-old Ronnie was sitting in a dark room downstairs watching TV, and he was watching an old army movie. It was called Castle Peak. And in the last 15 minutes, it's just like complete war destruction between the Americans and the German troops. And he said while he was watching the movie, he could hear his family whispering, and they were conspiring to kill him. So while he's watching all this like war and killing and whatever, he's hearing his family like whatever. So he's kind of freaking out. And then
is he high? Do we know if he was high?
110%. He's
right.
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool.
And then at the end of the movie, he said a person with black hands, now I don't know what the rest of them looked like, handed him a rifle and told him what he needed to do. So he went upstairs and shot each member of the family while they slept.
Oh my gosh. This was a ticking time bomb.
Oh,
it was a hot fucking mess.
Yeah, and it's
this
almost
is so
like
sad.
It's almost like with the Gainesville Ripper, like his dad treated him like shit, like his whole life, and then he react. And this is almost kind of like the same kind of deal.
Like, when does it end? Come on, people.
Right.
Rise above your raisin. Okay.
So now they go back to the interview with him, and he's like, I shot my father first. Then I crossed over, went to my mom's side, shot her. And after that, I couldn't even stop. He's like, I wanted to, but it was like something was in my body making me do it. So that's what he was saying. So
think about this, y'all. This guy is cracked out, killing his family while there's a sign outside that says high hopes.
Oh, he was high.
We're going to start getting into like the freaky, weird shit now. No, okay? So 6 members of the DeFeo family were wiped out within minutes. Ron, the dad, Louisa, the mom, Dawn, who was 18, Allison was 13, Mark was 11, and John Matthew was 9. Okay.
Oh my gosh. What a piece of shit.
I know. Now the freaky thing is they were all face down in bed when they were found. So they were all sleeping on their stomachs, face down.
All of them?
I had no idea it was coming.
Isn't that freaky though, with the legend with the Indians? And
yes. It gave me the chills.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that he killed them and then turned them over? Like he was compelled to do that? Or that's just how they were sleeping?
They thought so. And that's how they were killed. That's how they were.
I for real got the chills.
I'm going to throw it now.
Okay, so the next evening was when Ronnie reported the murders.
What was he doing this whole time?
Well, he was
cocaine.
He went to the bar and hung out. Like he was just on drugs and whatever. And
what a piece of shit.
He said he thought it was because of the family's alleged connections with the mob. So he thought it was a mob hit. So they took Ronnie into protective custody, thinking that
come on,
they were going to come after him. But then a few hours later, he confesses to the murders. And
he's all, just kidding, I did it. Surprise.
Yeah, it was me.
So the news just spreads fast, right? And this whole town and their family and their friends are just totally devastated because they're like, this doesn't happen.
A whole family.
Yeah, this doesn't happen. It's not one murder. It's 6 people murdered and their children. You know, it's like, it became this like, circus.
Just thinking about that mom.
Yeah.
She was so excited about that fucking house.
Oh my God. Yeah.
This really makes me really sad.
It's really
it's
sad.
Not just
it's
the
really
white wine spritzer talking. I'm really sad.
And there's so much more also to this story. You know, I'm just kind of like giving you the basics because we're going to go into more about a whole different family. But there's so there's so little ins and outs and all these little things that, so if you want to check it out because I'm just giving you like the
you're glossing over.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so 1 year later, at Ronald DeFeo's trial, defense attorney William Weber tried to prove that Ronnie was legally insane at the time of the murders, which then would make him not responsible for his actions. But the jury finds him sane and guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder. And he is now serving 6 consecutive prison terms of 25 years to life. Okay.
Okay.
23. He's 24, goes into the prison, and he's there for the rest of his life. Now, there's several mysteries about the murders, and I'm going to go through these. Number 1. How did he kill 6 people with a shotgun? None of them woke up. And no neighbors heard a thing. Okay. The only thing that they reported hearing was their dog barking. That's it. Nobody heard gunshots. And how did he not wake up anybody? That's just creepy. That's like, what the fuck, right? So they thought, oh, maybe he had a silencer. No, because if he had a silencer, then the crime scene would have fragments of the silencer everywhere, and there was nothing. So that was no. Okay, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe he drugged the family. That would make sense, right? They're all passed out, and then all the autopsy showed that there were no drugs in their system. So no, they were not drugged. So Hans Holzer. Now we're going to get to the paranormal. Hans Holzer. Remember that book that I showed you guys that I bought at this, I think I talked about it too. I bought at that little bookstore that closed down in downtown Burbank, and I opened it, and Hans Holzer had actually signed it to whoever bought it originally. And
what?
Yeah, this guy's a parapsychologist. He was very well known. There's a show out now called The Holzer Files, and what they do is they take his tapes of all his investigations and they reopen the investigations. I just love this dude. So they were interviewing. He was still alive. They were interviewing him on this documentary. And this is what he said: when there's a strong psychic field, sound will be inhibited. We know this from other cases because the electromagnetic field interferes with sound, and those sounds aren't heard. So because there was some type of maybe paranormal something going on, that's what stopped the sound from escaping out from the house and then out to like where the neighbors. So
interesting.
Now, one of the other theories is the Montauk Indians curse was involved. That might have happened. So they're showing, like, they're talking about the deaths, whatever. So at this point, they go to the cemetery and they're showing, like, well, first of all, they're showing the funeral, which is absolutely horrible. 6 caskets.
Oh my God.
It's just humongous, right? And then they showed the headstone. It's a DeFeo headstone, and it's the dad and the mom and all the kids, and then there's like a blank spot, like he's still part of the family, and he's
shit, no.
Yeah, there's a blank spot there for them to put. Yeah, there's a blank spot on the tombstone for him.
That makes me so angry.
Isn't that bananas?
He doesn't get that.
Yeah.
Piece of shit, dude.
Okay, so in the summer of 1975, newlyweds George and Kathy Lutz are house shopping on Long Island. So he's a 28-year-old ex-Marine who runs his family surveying company. Kathy has 3 kids from a previous marriage, Daniel 10 and Christopher 7 and Melissa 5. And they have a really strict budget on their home, okay? But they know what they want. They have a list of things that they want. So the realtor basically says, hey, I have the house for you guys, okay?
It's real cheap. I don't know why.
Yes. So she
it's
shows
like
them
that one that we saw, you guys. Did you see that, Timo?
Yeah.
Where there was like blood stains on the carpet?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So it's reasonable.
Yeah.
So it's this beautiful Dutch colonial. It overlooks the water. It's on the upscale area of Ocean Avenue. And when they first see it, they're like, they fall in love with it. It's like, okay, it has this. Check. It has everything that they've ever wanted. So
ghost check. Demon
after they fall in love with the home, the real estate agent then says, oh, by the way, 1 year ago, this family was murdered in the house. So they said that they had a little family meeting and they all decided that it's all right. We'll take it. We'll move in. We have no worries. Yeah, no problem. Whatever.
Why'd you even mention it? It's fine.
Yeah. So the price was good. And they weren't superstitious, so they didn't care. And then another thing is Kathy loved the high hope sign outside. She just fell in love with that. And she's like, this is a sign of bringing 2 families together, and this is just whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's
I'm gonna. Yeah. I need a high hope sign now.
Yeah. Okay. So on
I got
December.
you guys a present. I completely forgot.
What?
I forgot that I got you guys a present. I'll bring it over tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna freaking love it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so on December 18th, 1975, 13 months after the murders, the Lutzes move in along with their family dog, Harry.
Oh, no, not a dog. If something happens to the dog, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
So a friend of George's basically said, hey, you should get the house blessed because this murder did happen, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
George had a really good friend who happened to be a priest, Father Ralph, but he called him Father Ray. So the same day they moved in, Father Ray agreed to come in and bless the home for him. So there was a sewing room, you guys. They had a sewing room. I want a sewing room. So he walks into the sewing room. He's doing his little, the little wand thing that has the holy water in it.
Holy water.
He's saying his little thingy. And he said that when he walked into the room, it was freezing cold. But he's like, it's the middle of winter, but it was still colder than it should have been. And as he's saying his prayers, he heard coming from behind him a deep, growly voice telling him to get out.
Oh my God. Did he piss his pants and run out of the house?
Well,
shit.
As he was sitting there contemplating, what the hell did I just hear? He felt something slap his face. Okay?
Oh,
yeah.
No.
So he goes downstairs and he basically tells the family, all right, I'm done. Hey, don't spend too much time in that sewing room. And he leaves.
By the way,
yes.
don't go in there. And he left.
That's it.
And he left.
Skipped
He
right
doesn't fucking
past
say anything?
that.
Yes.
He left and he skipped by that High Hope sign and he said, bye.
Later, bitches.
Yeah, they didn't find out to many, many, many months, years later what his actual experience was. So basically, yeah,
he should have mentioned it.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so from day one, they noticed strange sensations coming from the house. Kathy basically says, all houses have sounds that you have to get used to, like how the water sounds through the pipes, how the dishwasher sounds, how the house settles at night. But these sounds were something that you didn't want to get used to. So it's Christmas time. Oh, everyone's happy, la, 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 la. Then so this is her quote. She says, after the love of Christmas came down, that's when the sounds were different. Ones that I didn't want to become familiar with. And that changed everything. And the warm glow was gone. Okay.
Ugh.
So they would hear scraping, banging. The kids started fearing things in the house. Even the little kids were, fucking freaking out. They saw something drastically change in each other as well. Like people, like their personalities were changing. They couldn't communicate as a family. Kathy described it as a three-ring circus. She said every room had something different happening inside, depending on the person that was in the room. So the rooms had different shit going on at the same time, just depending on who was there.
Mm-hmm.
George was attacked by the sensation of being cold all the time. He was like obsessed with the fireplace in the living room. He was obsessed with enough wood. He would just go out and chop wood all day. Then he'd sit there at the fire and he just couldn't get warm. And he was just obsessed and crazy about it. Fights broke out between the kids. Everyone was just fighting. It was just obnoxious, right? And almost kind of like how the DeFeos were. And then strange events started to happen. The temperatures would fluctuate throughout the house. They started to smell the old, the rotting smell of old perfume. Now, I don't know what that smells like, but I can just imagine it's like kind of like
doesn't sound sexy.
Like poopy spray.
No
way.
Like
when you try to spray over poop and then it smells like poop and roses. Like that's probably what the smell.
It's poop and roses.
Yes, poop and roses. Black stains showed up on the bathroom fixtures. There was an infestation of flies in the dead of winter in the sewing room. Crazy.
Thank you.
And then Kathy went down one day to the basement. That's where the laundry was. And she saw this big, huge shelving unit. She wanted to move it. So as she started to move it, she found a hidden room behind the bookshelf. And it was this teeny tiny room. And it was painted entirely red. And it smelled horrible. Now, This was not on the original plans. They have no idea why or where this room came from. And then their dog, Harry, he was a black lab. He was fucking freaked out from that room. He wouldn't go near it. I know. He was just.
Harry knew it was naughty.
Yeah. And then every night at 3:15, George was jerked awake. And that was at
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Okay.
Oh, Red.
Oh.
Red needs to go have her naughty time.
Yes.
Mommy daddy time.
Yeah, she's counting down the minutes till this evening.
I have needs.
So 3:15 was the time that Ronald DeFeo killed his family. So it's all And then Kathy started having these really crazy nightmares where she was actually seeing the murders happen. And they were so vivid that she basically said she saw the 2 bullets go in and out of Mrs. DeFeo. And they talked to William Weber. He was the attorney for DeFeo. And he said, yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And that was information that they had not released to the public at all.
So it was like she was in her body when she got shot.
And she described exactly.
This is creepy as shit. Yeah. It really is.
It really is. So so Kathy and the kids started sleeping on their stomachs. Now, nobody slept on their stomachs until they moved in. That's the only way that they could fall asleep. Terrible. And it was only after they moved into this house. So it's kind of creepy. Again, face down. And then 5-year-old Melissa, they called her Missy. She had a new invisible playmate. And
I'm sure she did.
Yeah. And I'm going to say her, but we don't really know what gender this playmate was, but its name was Jody. And one day, Kathy was in the kitchen. Melissa came down and said, Mommy, do angels talk? And Kathy's like, yeah, I think they do. She's like, why, babe? And she's like, well, because I think I have an angel in my room. So Missy would draw pictures and describe what this angel looked like. And she said it was a pig. And this pig was able to be very big or very small. It was able to be invisible or visible. And she said it would say things, like she would tell her parents like what it would say at times. And they're like, there's no way in hell this 5-year-old could ever come up with that particular thing. So they're like, where's she hearing this? And what the fuck is this pig animal, whatever. So one thing that was very disturbing, they're like, very, very disturbing, was she said that Jody told her, you're always going to live here.
Yikes.
I got chills just run through my body when you said that.
This whole thing is like, you think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight?
Well, I already was planning on happening up all night.
Shit.
It is what it is.
Okay, so George and Kathy kind of just dismissed that Jody was just like, an imaginary friend.
Precocious,
yeah. So, but George one night, he was in the boathouse. He was walking up to the house, and he said he looked up at Missy's room, and there were eyes looking down at him. So he jammed back. He just ran into the house, ran up the stairs, and there was nothing in there. Missy was asleep. So he was like, what the fuck was that? And then at times they would see eyes outside looking in at them.
Was it Danny Rolling? The Gainesville Ripper?
And then you guys, they'd wake up in the morning and there would be hoof footprints in the snow around their house. Hoof.
Why?
Like, why? Like, why this animal? You know what I mean? Why?
Well, the devil is supposedly half goat, so the bottom half of a goat. Yeah. So, good times. All right. So the events of the first 2 weeks in January 1976 convinced them finally that something evil was in the home. They would this is the stuff that was going on. Cold spots, rotting smells, the front door slamming, they'd go down, it was locked. So very desperately, George basically said, hey, I think we need to do something. So the same friend that suggested that they bless the home suggested that they open all the windows and doors in the home. They go from room to room and say the Lord's Prayer, and that's gonna do it. So they did it, and as they were doing it, they would hear whispers saying, "Would you stop? Would you stop? Would you stop?" Okay. So George basically was like, this thing was showing its presence. It didn't like what we did, and now it's going to prove it. So the family wouldn't go to sleep till sunrise. They were basically up all night because they were so scared and so freaked out. And after the Lord's Prayer thingy failed, he decided to go to his friend, Father Ray, who basically bailed on them and said, peace out.
What about sage? Hello?
They didn't do sage, so I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to get in touch with this Father Ray, right? But every time they tried calling him, like something would happen with the phone. Either they'd hear him answer and then it would be staticky, or it would disconnect them and then they couldn't call him back. And then the same thing with Father Ray. Father Ray tried to call them back and the same thing would happen. They could never get in contact with him. So Father Ray was talking to a higher up priest or whatever, and they were sitting in the office and they were talking about what they needed to do to help the Lutz family. And this is in the middle of the winter, and they heard the steam coming out of the radiator and you know, to blow out the hot air, and all of a sudden this huge cold breeze just like blew through the office, and they're like, what the fuck was that? So the second attempt to bless the home on their own, so they tried to do the whole thing again, where they open the windows and they say the Lord's Prayer, but then that led to an evening of horror that they will never forget. So this was actually the last night they would spend in the house. They would still not talk about what happened. They said to even think about it, they could not talk about it. So we don't really know exactly what happened that night, but they feared for their lives so much that 28 days later from moving in on January 14th, 1976, they abandoned the home and all everything that they own. They just get in their car with the dog and the kids and they just drive away.
But we don't know what happened?
No, they won't talk about it.
Now, they need to go to therapy and open up with everybody.
There's stuff in the book.
We have questions.
Yes, we have questions.
There is stuff in the book, so I think maybe finally when that guy Anson, when he wrote the book, I think they might have kind of told him a little bit of it. So basically, they just gave the house back to the bank. And then they sold all their belongings at an auction. They just didn't want to have anything to do with it. So in 1975, they bought this house for $80,000. Okay. They put $20,000 down. So they had a $60,000 mortgage. They put $4,000 into it. After they sold everything, they walked away with $1,600. So that's basically how bad they just wanted to walk away from it. They just didn't even give a shit. They're like, peace out. So they moved to California and started over. Okay. But unfortunately, it kind of followed them to California and they still had shit going on. It wasn't as bad as it was there. And eventually it faded away. Now, one weird thing is they sat down with one of those old tape recorders. Remember the old tape recorders? And they said it was self-help, but they basically just retold their story from day one for the whole 28 days. And that was transcribed into the book, The Amityville Horror. So that's the actual book. And then basically they said that the movie was just all Hollywood magic, but basically, they took their story, they sold their story to this guy, and he wrote the book. Okay, there's an interview with the Lutzes going on through this documentary as well, and Kathy said that when they moved in, they were practicing something called transcendental meditation.
Yeah, a transcendental meditation.
So she thinks that opened up their minds, and that this is what happened, because basically every family that has moved into this house since has never had any activity happen. So she thinks, and people question that, like, what, like all of a sudden this craziness happened to you and it's not happening to. So this is her explanation for that. She thinks that because they were practicing this, it had opened their minds, and it basically made this happen. So she ends the interview with this, and I love this, so I'm going to quote her. It says, "It took a dream and shattered it. It took innocence and destroyed it. And it was out for life itself." So that's how basically the documentary ends. So in 1999, Ronald went to his parole hearing. Ronnie Butch. And
Ronnie Butch.
Yeah. And he claimed, now he's changing his whole story. He's claiming that he was downstairs the whole time, and the real killers came in while he was passed out on drugs downstairs. And so, but
Ronnie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his parole was denied. Okay.
I'm shocked to hear this news.
Okay, so you guys, there's also a documentary that you can see. It was like a made for TV kind of interview thing, and someone actually taped it from like a cassette, like a VCR. I love it.
Ooh, yes.
And I remember watching this, and it's basically now Ronald DeFeo in prison at age 55. He's being interviewed, by a psychiatrist, and he's changed his story a million times. So in this interview, he's claiming that Dawn forced him. Dawn, his older sister, wanted to kill the mom and dad because she was pissed off. And she was the one that forced him to kill them, and then he left. And then when he came back, she had killed the kids, and then they got into a fight, and then he killed her. So it's like this whole, and then he starts saying that there were demons telling him to do this. So it's like bananas. This guy has like 1,000,001 different excuses for what he did. There is one. Okay, so what are their names? Shoot. The couple, the parapsychologist couple.
Lorraine?
Yes, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
This was one of their huge investigations, right? They took a whole crew in. They did this whole investigation. And there's a picture that was taken during this investigation, and you can see it if you just if you search for Amityville ghost boy, and it's a picture of this little boy peeking around the corner by one of the staircases, and it looks just like the young one. Yeah, it looks just like the young little boy. It's so crazy, you guys. So of course the movie became a franchise success. They made part 2, they made part 3. Then they remade it with Ryan Reynolds. I love that. That one. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Oh yeah.
And then there's a whole paranormal aspect with that version as well. There was actually shit that happened during the shooting of the filming of the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some crazy stuff that happened. Yeah. So
what was the documentary name that you watched about the Amityville horror?
Amityville Murders.
And where did you see it? Because I want to watch it.
It was on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
It's like a 45-minute documentary.
Never mind.
It's really,
I don't have 45 minutes.
No,
I'm just so busy.
You have to watch it. It's great. It's so great. And then watch the Ronald DeFeo one, you guys. It's bananas. It's so bananas. This guy is just whacked out, and he's like all skinny and frail, and he's like rah, 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 rah. It's like dude, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
Okay, I loved this week. You did such a great job.
Thank
I
you.
had chills like throughout my body
The
several
whole time.
different times. I'm shook. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
good. See,
changed. I'm a changed person.
yeah, I was happy that I was
Yeah,
able
for real, for
to
real.
do this true crime story and bring it into the
I
paranormal side because
loved it.
Okay.
Good
Yay.
job, Timo.
Mhm.
Woo.
Wow.
Yay!
So professional.
You scared the shit out of me.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Woo. Yeah. So the original
All
one
right.
has
I'm like seriously gonna have nightmares.
yeah. Have you guys seen the original one? It's Charles Bronson and
We had it on recorded on a VCR tape growing up.
yes. Lois
That's
Lane.
so
What's her
funny.
name?
Crazy.
The chick that played Lois Lane. Oh
Oh,
gosh,
I
can't.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Dude, that movie is the best, you guys. It's so great.
Yes,
And
it's so good.
Bronson
Yeah.
turns into a big old wackadoodle, but Ryan Reynolds does a pretty
Yeah.
good job too. They make him look crazy.
Yes.
Like his
it's
eyes
really
turn
good.
red and oh geez, yeah. Movie
So
magic, you
fantastic.
guys. Yeah.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
Yay! All
Good
right,
job.
now it's
All right.
badass
Story of the
week.
Badass story.
See, we were in sync there. It
I
wasn't
gave up.
off at all. I give up.
All right. So for my story this week, I want to give a big shout out to our one and only Steph. Thank you for sharing it.
Ooh,
What's
cool.
up, Steph?
All right.
We're related.
It's going to
Weird.
make you cry. Yeah.
Oh no, really?
What? What the hell, Steph?
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's such a good one though, you guys. And
Okay.
All
it's based
right.
All right.
on this gentleman that is from Sydney, Australia.
Aww.
Ooh,
Shout out
Sid.
to Reds Australia.
My peeps.
Yeah. So
For now.
this guy has lived in this house for 50 years. And it's actually it's a heartwarming story, but it is really sad at the beginning. Like you have to see, you have to look past it, okay?
Okay.
So this man, Don Ritchie, he's been living in this house that overlooks the ocean since 1964. He's been window watching, and it's not because he loves the ocean. Well, he does, but it's because this particular spot in Sydney overlooks the ocean where people would typically go to jump off the cliff.
Yes.
Right. He lives across the street.
Oh, no.
It's not a fast thing. People go and they look like something's going to happen. And so he just calmly walks on over and with his calm voice and sympathetic manner, just kind of asks them like, hey, can I help you in some way?
Oh, my heart.
And a lot of times, he's
my
able
God.
to save lives. So he has them over for coffee or tea. He talks to them. He tells them that if, they just sleep on it, think a little more on it, they may change their mind. There have been times where he actually got into more of like a physical thing where he had to like physically stop them from jumping.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
This man has saved 160 lives.
Wow.
My whole body just chills just down my body. This guy.
Crazy.
He's unbelievable.
That's a badass. That is a badass. Oh my
Badass.
God.
Okay.
Dawn.
So I'm looking.
Oh, my heart.
I did the math, right? I know. I love him. He's such a sweet old man. There was actually a survivor that came back to him with a painting of an angel with the rays of the sun and just a simple message that said, an angel who walks amongst us.
Aww.
And it was for him. He saved his life and he came back. He said like several people have come back to his home to thank him for changing their mind, in their moment of need. He just walked on over and said like, how can I help you? Like what a beautiful, beautiful man. So he says, you can't just sit there and watch them. You've got to try and save them. So Just,
Dawn.
what a beautiful
Dawn,
story.
Dawn's such a
Mhm.
badass. Oh my God.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah.
God, I love
Good
Dawn.
job, Dre. I love Dawn. Timo loves Dawn.
Mhm.
Dre loves Dawn.
We all
Dawn
You know,
is
love Dawn.
that's
the
awesome that
She
you,
warmed my heart.
it's awesome that you did that story, Dre, because, you know, right now what's big out there right now is
Yeah.
that Ronald
Mhm.
McDutt, I think his name was,
Mhm.
that just, you know, I
Ronnie
thought he was,
McNutt.
yeah, I thought he
Mhm.
was on TikTok, but he was on Facebook
Facebook
Live.
Live.
And
Facebook Live. Yeah.
so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I
people
know.
are in
It was a
pain
really
and they
sad
just don't want it
thing.
in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
This makes
it's
me
crazy
sad.
times, guys, but
I love that story, Dre,
Yeah,
so
that
much.
was a
Thank
great
you.
story.
And
Yay.
thank you, Steph, for suggesting it.
thank you, Steph.
So
Yeah.
fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube.
All
What
the
else am I?
things.
All
All
the
the
things.
things.
You guys, please take just a few moments if you haven't already, and you be a badass this week and help your favorite ladies out and leave us a review on iTunes. We love getting messages from you on all social media. You can email us anytime at handcuffsandsage@gmail.com. And Timo does this website, handcuffsandsagepodcast.com. Good job, Timo.
You know, the thing that I was thinking about is we were doing an event or doing something fun like every month when we first started
We
the
did.
website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a
Yeah.
bunch of fun stuff that you can see that we were doing back, you know, when we first
Mhm.
started. And then COVID came along and we haven't been able to do any of that.
I
So
know.
hopefully once this
Mhm.
pandemic is done and it's fucked itself, then we can go ahead
There will
and,
be more.
yeah, start doing these events
Yeah.
again, and you can, you know, live vicariously through the girls of Handcuffs and Sage.
Hey,
Right.
Timo, have high hopes, okay?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
High hopes. Oh my gosh. But we
High
want
hopes.
we want to
Yeah.
say thank you to everybody who reaches out to us and sends us messages, and it really just is so fun and delightful, and we enjoy our podcast time, and we enjoy hearing from everybody. Can you think of anything else?
Absolutely.
No?
I think you got it.
No, yeah.
Yay. Okay, y'all. Here
All
we
right.
go.
Okay.
Remember, we
do what we want.
We do what we want.
Oh, Dre.
But we're totally in sync. We are
I think
professionals.
Dre's doing that on purpose now, so she
We
can get
did-
her own
No,
free.
never.
No, I seriously didn't.
All right. Well, we'll talk about
I'm on a
this in the
delay. I don't know what
meeting
to tell
later.
you.
You are on a delay, yeah.
Well,
Uh-huh.
in our very super special meeting, we'll talk about it, Dre.
Okay.
You're on performance review now.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez.
All right.
All right. Love
All right.
y'all. Have
Okay.
a good night.
Good
Love you,
night. Love you
guys.
guys.
Bye.
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 Handcuffs and Sage is hosted by Red, Timo, and Dre in a shitty guest room in Los Angeles.
Theme music is Leave Now by We Are Wasted. Cover art done by Megan Winchester.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Show us some love on iTunes. Be a badass and do what you want. Until next time.